Well, everyone, it's time for us to go ahead and take a look at the iPhone XS and compare it against the iPhone X in 2022, 23 actually, I keep getting the years mixed up, and see how they both hold up in this day and age. Now, if you want to pick up some of these phones I would recommend this year, the links will be down in the description. You can get them from there, you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these phones, what's interesting is they were almost identically the same thing on the exterior, with very few differences on the outside. The iPhone X came out in 2017, and it was the $1,000 flagship of that year. And I think Apple did a really, really good job with this phone. They took out the home button, but they did give us, Face ID at the time. We're kind of used to it by now, so it's even interesting. I remember that. We have, a pretty good panel. Like, I think this panel looks very, very sharp. The iPhone XS had exactly the same panel. I think the XS could get a little bit, brighter or something like that. But the iPhone X's panel and screen and everything about this phone still look very, very sharp. And even when you look at it over the camera like this, you can see how visibly, like, it just looks like a visually just superior display. Now, the iPhone XS, on the other hand, it still had the same 5.8-inch Super Retina OLED display, and it was a very good panel too when it first came out. I still think it holds up pretty well. This one is an aftermarket display, but I think it's almost the original one, which is very interesting. And this one, and the iPhone X share pretty much the same panel, so not too many differences here. I think Face ID got a little bit of an upgrade, but other than that, they were basically the same exact thing for the most part. Now, in terms of the sides and the, pretty much the rest of the phones, what was very interesting is there really wasn't too much of a difference here either, except we did get one model of the gold color, which I think that in and of itself was really cool. Having that gold color of the iPhone XS was really nice, and that was another thing where I looked at this phone, I'm like, wow, this one looks really, really sharp. I still like the silver model of the iPhone X though, but the iPhone XS gold model looks very, very good. On the bottom, we have our speaker grills with the iPhone X, and interestingly enough, the iPhone XS is missing a lot more circles than the iPhone X. I just realized that. But regardless, both these phones still look very, very good. Now on the back, we do have kind of the same kind of setup, but my iPhone X does have a skin on the back. And with the iPhone X, we do have this, glass back, as well as on the iPhone XS, wireless charging on both models, which is still really nice. And overall, still very good looking phones. The iPhone XS also has a dual camera setup, as well as the iPhone X. So there's not really too many differences there. But overall, I think the iPhone X and the iPhone XS have held up fairly well in the body standpoint. There are some other areas which are kind of conflicting between them, but I think overall the bodies and everything still hold up very, very well. Now, some other things to keep in mind is actually with IP certification, they both have IP certification, but more so than that is software longevity. And this is the one area which is kind of weirding me out with the iPhone X. So with the iPhone X, the thing to keep in mind here is that we really don't know how much longer this phone is going to last. This is now technically the lowest supported iPhone on iOS 16, the iPhone 8 Plus, and the iPhone 8. But when those iPhones get discontinued, this one is probably also going to get discontinued as well. So we really don't know how much longer this phone is going to last. If I had to guess, I hope this iPhone lasts like forever. I think that would be awesome. But if it doesn't, well, then that's going to be an issue in and of itself. I hope this iPhone ends up getting like iOS 17. I think that would be great. I think iOS 17 could be a really big upgrade. But as of right now, there's really not too much we can kind of hope for. I think iOS 16 could be its last one. I don't know. But the iPhone XS, on the other hand, is a phone that is, still second in line of being discontinued. I think this iPhone is still probably going to last as long as something like an iPhone 13, iPhone 11 or something like that. I'm not, again, 100% too sure. If I had to guess, that's probably what I would assume. I think the iPhone X is going to outlast the iPhone X. It's just one of those things we're going to have to wait and see about. But overall, I think the iPhone X still holds up fairly well as well, and it's definitely probably going to outlast the iPhone X. So that covers it up there. Now let's go into a speed comparison between both these phones. The iPhone X has that Apple 11 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM. The iPhone XS has that Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one's the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. Hopping out of all the apps in the background, as you can see, this is pretty much where we're at. Let's go ahead and open up some apps. Phone calls 3, 2, 1. iPhone X is here. XS is here. Let's go and open up music 3, 2, 1. Okay. I think the iPhone X is faster, but they were on 2 different panels, so we'll just let that one go. App Store 3, 2, 1. Totally messed that one up too. We'll just load them up and we'll just scroll through all of them. Actually, I don't know which one would have been faster there anyway. Scrolling through, both are 60 hertz panels, but both look very sharp when you're kind of scrolling through both of them. They both look very good, which is something I love seeing. Hopping out of both these applications. Let's go and get into photos 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go and hop out of this one. Let's go and get into camera 3, 2, 1. Let's go and take a photo. Okay, I think the iPhone X was faster. Let's open up that photo. Almost the same thing. So let's go and hop out of this one. I probably do have some third-party applications or some bigger applications we can test out. Facebook, 3, 2, 1. Okay, seems like Facebook just wants to wait out a long period of time. Very, very weird. Maybe Facebook is down. Twitter, 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Stack, 3, 2, 1. A little bit of a pop-up here, a little bit of pop-up here, but it was faster of a pop-up on the iPhone XS, so probably something to keep in mind. Let's go into Temple Run 2, one of my favorite games. It doesn't seem like I have it here, which is very, very unfortunate. Oh, I do. 3, 2, 1. Okay, two different pop-ups, but we were basically faster on the iPhone XS still. Still kind of getting a little bit of a faster experience on the iPhone XS. Got into two different pop-ups again, but I don't think it interfered with how, these phones were loading up. It does look like the XS is a smoother phone though overall. The iPhone X was being a little bit glitchier there, if you kind of could see it. Now let's go and play a game here. Let's see what's going on between them. Again, even clicking the play button at the same time, the iPhone XS was the fast one when it came down to it. So overall, I definitely do think when it comes down to both these phones, the iPhone XS is still a very decent performing phone, but I think the iPhone X still feels like a very fast phone as well. Overall, when you're clicking into applications and going through things, they both feel very fast and very fluid too, which is really cool. So overall, in the speed department, the iPhone XS probably wins, but in the camera department, there's a lot of similarity here and a lot of overlap as well. So with the iPhone X, you are getting a dual camera setup, and on the iPhone XS as well. We do 4K at 60 on the back of both these phones, which is really nice. But on the front, we do have 1080p at 60 on the iPhone XS. We only have 1080p at 30 on the iPhone X. So otherwise, though, I think both these cameras are kind of like almost the same thing. I think the iPhone XS is definitely a better camera, though. It does give you more features overall, which is really nice. You do have, the standard 10x zoom on this camera, which is really nice. You don't have an ultra-wide camera here, which was kind of one of my downsides of this specific phone and on the iPhone XS. No ultra-wide sensors here. I feel like they should have threw one in here at some point. You do have time-lapse, slow-mo, video mode, portrait mode, square mode, and panorama mode. I still have a lot of modes built in with this camera as well. Definitely not the end of the world here or anything, but it still would have been nice, I think, in my opinion, if the iPhone X and the iPhone XS both had ultra-wide sensors. Now with something like the iPhone XS, I think this camera is still very good for the most part as well, and I still think it easily gets the job done as well. I haven't really had too many complaints with this camera for the last few years. With this type of lens, you do have, the 10x zoom as well. You get that 1x standard zoom, and with this type of camera, I mean, you are getting a very solid camera. Video mode, time-lapse mode, photo, portrait mode, all this other stuff. But I do think the iPhone X and the XS are more similar than not, in my opinion. So, where does this leave us now? Well, in my opinion, I think the iPhone XS is a very, very good phone, and I think the iPhone X is a more impactful phone. I think the iPhone XS is a more refined version of the iPhone X. The XS was giving you a faster phone, not necessarily better battery life, but a really good phone with better cameras as well. But I think the iPhone X is the originator, is the one that pretty much started it all, in my opinion, for this newer setup of iPhones. And I think this phone has held up very well. Like, it's crazy how good this phone is. It's approaching like 6 years old this year, and it doesn't even feel like it. It still feels like almost like a brand new phone in some ways. So I will definitely tell you, if you have an iPhone X or XS, keep them. I wouldn't upgrade from one to the other. If you have all the money in the world, go for the 14 Pros. But I would probably recommend buying an iPhone 11 Pro. I think that phone is probably better than both these, but that's kind of how these compare in 2023. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.